People call it the Golden Age, when football was pure, romantic, real. When Pelé danced, Cruyff floated, and fans sang without selfies or sponsors. But behind those sepia-tinted memories live shadows, dictatorships, fixers, tragedies. The 1950s to 1980s weren't just beautiful, they were dangerous. In 1978, Argentina lifted the World Cup on home soil. A nation celebrated. Cameras captured joy, confetti, and embracing players. But General Jorge Videla's military junta was murdering its own citizens. 30,000 people disappeared between 1976 and 1983. Torture centers operated within walking distance of the Monumental Stadium. Police beat the families of the missing if they tried to protest during matches. The mothers of Plaza de Mayo marched with photos of their sons and daughters, faces the cameras refused to show. The World Cup was called El Mundial. Our World Cup. It was propaganda, a distraction, and it worked. The world saw Argentina's triumph. They didn't see the bloodstains beneath the ticker tape. The Peru match. Argentina needed to beat Peru by 4 goals to reach the final. They won 6-0. It remains one of football's darkest mysteries. Peruvian goalkeeper Ramon Quiroga, born in Argentina, led in soft goals. His positioning was wrong. His dives were late. Peru's manager, Marcos Calderon, later claimed he was approached with bribes before the match. He refused to elaborate. He died in 2002, taking his silence to the grave. Weeks after the match, Argentina shipped 35,000 tons of grain to Peru and unfroze Peruvian bank accounts worth millions. Coincidence? FIFA investigated. They found nothing. Or they found nothing they wanted to reveal. Chile 1973. In Santiago, Chile played a World Cup qualifier at the National Stadium in 1973, just weeks after Augusto Pinochet's military coup. That same stadium held 40,000 political prisoners. Torture chambers operated beneath the stands. Above, 80,000 fans cheered for Chile. Below, screams echoed in concrete cells. The Soviet Union refused to play. They forfeited the match. Chile advanced to the World Cup by kicking a ball into an empty net against ghosts. FIFA allowed it. Eastern Europe. In the Soviet Union and East Germany, football clubs weren't just teams. They were state instruments. Dynamo Kiev belonged to the KGB. The Stasi controlled Dynamo Berlin. Coaches were party operatives. Players who defected were declared traitors. Their families paid the price. Lost jobs, surveillance, exile. Football wasn't an escape, it was control. Should FIFA ever allow nations under authoritarian regimes to host tournaments? The 1980s, Italian football at its peak. Serie A was the wealthiest, most glamorous league on earth. Maradona, Platini, Zico, gods in boots. But behind the glory lived fixers. Calcio Scommesse, the betting scandal. In 1980, Italian prosecutors uncovered a match-fixing ring that had corrupted dozens of matches across Serie A and Serie B. 4 players, referees, and club officials were implicated. The scandal was called Calcio Scommesse. Football betting. Matches were rigged. Results were sold. Syndicates made millions. The system worked like this. Betting syndicates approached struggling players, those with gambling debts, those whose careers were fading. They offered money, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars for a single result, a red card, a missed penalty, a slow reaction on defense. Referees were easier to buy. A yellow card at the right time, a penalty was not given, a goal was disallowed for offside that wasn't offside. Small adjustments, invisible on replays unless you knew what to look for. Paolo Rossi. The face of the scandal was Paolo Rossi, Italy's golden boy, a striker loved by millions. In 1980, Rossi was banned for 3 years, later reduced to 2, for allegedly accepting money to influence match results while playing for Perugia. He denied it. The evidence was circumstantial. But the ban stood. Italy's Football Federation wanted to make an example. Rossi became the martyr. He spent 2 years in exile, training alone, wondering if his career was over. Then in 1982, his ban ended just weeks before the World Cup. Italy's coach, Enzo Bearzot, controversially selected him. Critics said he was unfit, rusty, a distraction. Rossi scored 6 goals in the tournament. Italy won the World Cup. He was redeemed, but the stain never entirely disappeared. Beyond Italy, match fixing wasn't unique to Italy. In Brazil, the 1971 National Championship final is still disputed. Accusations of referee payments, suspicious penalties, and backroom deals swirled for decades. No investigation ever concluded. In Asia, betting syndicates shaped results long before global gambling went online. Malaysian bookmakers, Hong Kong triads, soul fixers. Players across lower leagues were approached, threatened, and bought. The difference? No cameras, no investigations, no accountability. The truth? Football has never been immune to corruption. The golden age just didn't have the transparency to expose it. Do you think match fixing is more common today, or was it simply better hidden back then? The golden age wasn't just politically corrupt and financially exploitative. It also gave birth to the tactical systems that define modern football. Because in darkness, innovation thrives. When the stakes are life or death, when losing means more than dropped points, football becomes chess played at 100 miles per hour. 3 tactical revolutions emerged from this era's shadows. In the Soviet Union, football wasn't entertainment. It was science. Valery Lobanovsky, coach of Dynamo Kyiv, pioneered collective pressing, the system Liverpool and Manchester City use today. His philosophy: football is physics, not art. Every player had defined zones. When the ball entered a trigger zone, usually the broad areas near the halfway line, the entire team pressed in coordinated waves. Lobanovsky's Dynamo Kyiv didn't chase the ball randomly. They forced opponents into predetermined spaces, then swarmed. Modern term, pressing traps. His teams recorded every sprint, every pass, every interception. This was the 1970s. No GPS, no computers, just stopwatches and notepads. Lobanovsky discovered what data analysts confirm today. Teams that win the ball in the final third score 3 times more goals than teams that win it deep. Dynamo Kyiv won 2 European Cup Winners' Cups using this system, but because they were Soviet, Western Europe ignored them. Decades later, Jurgen Klopp would call his Liverpool system gegenpressing. He didn't invent it. He imported it from the shadows of the Iron Curtain. Modern pressing didn't come from Ajax or Barcelona. It came from Soviet scientists who treated football like nuclear physics: precise, calculated, ruthless. While the Soviets pressed, Italy perfected the art of not being pressed. Catenaccio, doorbolt in Italian, was more than parking the bus. It was architectural. The system: sweeper, libero, a free defender behind the defensive line who reads danger before it arrives. Man marking: each attacker had a shadow zonal coverage. The sweeper covered the spaces between counterattacks. Win the ball, 1 pass forward, clinical finish. The philosophy: Helenio Herrera, Inter Milan's legendary coach, said, "To score 1 goal is wonderful. To concede none is perfect." Italian defenders in this era weren't just stoppers, they were intellectuals. Franco Baresi, AC Milan's sweeper, rarely made tackles. He didn't need to. He intercepted passes that hadn't been played yet, reading body language, angles, and weight distribution. Gaetano Scirea, Juventus's sweeper, was called the gentleman defender because he never committed fouls. He positioned himself so perfectly that attackers couldn't get past. Italy conceded just 2 goals in 7 matches at the 1982 World Cup. They won the tournament. Modern analytics confirm what Italians knew instinctively. Positioning matters more than tackling. The best defenders in football history have the lowest tackle counts. Modern low-block defenses, Atletico Madrid, Mourinho's Chelsea, defensive masterclasses, all trace back to the 1970s Italian catenaccio. Dutch total football, freedom within structure, 1970s. While dictatorships controlled players, the Netherlands created football's ultimate expression of freedom. Total football wasn't chaos. It was organized anarchy. The system, Rinus Michels and Johan Cruyff, built Ajax around one principle. Any player can occupy any position. Defenders could attack. Attackers could defend. The only rule, someone must always cover the space you leave. Why it worked? Total football created numerical superiority everywhere. If the right back pushed forward, the midfielder dropped to cover. Suppose the striker drifted wide, the winger moved into the center. Opponents couldn't mark positions because there were none. The 1974 World Cup, the Netherlands lost the final to West Germany, but they won the tactical war. Every modern system with fluid positioning, Guardiola's inverted fullbacks, Klopp's rotating forwards, Spain's tiki-taka, traces back to 1974 Dutch football. Cruyff's Barcelona, which dominated Europe in the 1990s and 2010s, was total football 2.0. Guardiola's Manchester City, with defenders who play as midfielders and midfielders who play as forwards, is total football 3.0. Tactical lesson: the future of football was invented in the 1970s by a team that never won the World Cup. Innovation doesn't need trophies, it needs ideas. The dark side's tactical legacy. The Golden Age gave us 3 tactical pillars that still hold up modern football. 1. Soviet pressing, Klopp's gegenpressing. 2. Italian catenaccio, low block defending 3. Dutch total football, positional fluidity. These weren't invented in academies or training labs. They were forged under pressure, political, financial, existential. The Soviets pressed because losing meant more than trophies. The Italians defended because perfection was culture. The Dutch attacked because freedom was a philosophy. Football's darkest era gave us its brightest tactical ideas. Which tactical innovation from this era still dominates today? The 1960s and 70s were the era of legends. But legends weren't millionaires. Most weren't even comfortable. Clubs owned players completely. There was no free agency. No player union has absolute power. Refuse a transfer? You'd sit on the bench for years. Demand higher wages? You'd be sold to a lower division as punishment. They called it romance. In truth, it was servitude with shin guards. Garrincha, the forgotten king. Garrincha, Brazil's most excellent dribbler, World Cup hero, Golden Boot winner, died at 49 in 1983. Penniless. In his prime, he earned modest wages. His club, Botafogo, paid him well by the 1960s standards, but nothing compared to what his talent would command today. He had no financial advisor, no investment portfolio, no endorsement deals lasted. After retirement, alcoholism consumed him. He lost his money in failed businesses and bad advice. By the early 1980s, he lived in a small house in Rio, alone, drinking cheap cachaça. When he died from cirrhosis, his funeral drew thousands. Brazil mourned, but the clubs that profited from his genius sent no support while he was alive. Pelé once said, Garrincha died twice, once as a player, once as a man. George Best, fame without protection. George Best was football's first superstar, Manchester United's genius, handsome, charismatic, unstoppable. He became famous before football had the infrastructure to handle fame. No PR teams, no mental health support, no rehab programs. Best drunk heavily. By his late 20s, His career was in decline. By his 30s, it was over. He spent decades battling alcoholism in public. Arrests, failed comebacks, tabloid humiliation. In 2005, he died from organ failure caused by years of drinking. He was 59. Best once said, "I spent a lot of money on booze, birds, and fast cars. The rest I just squandered." He said it as a joke. It was a tragedy. The Bosman era hadn't arrived. Before 1995, players couldn't move freely. Clubs owned their registration rights contracts expired. Even after want to leave, the club could demand a transfer fee or simply refuse. You'd sit, train with the reserves, disappear. The Bosman ruling in 1995 changed everything. Players gained free agency. But for every legend we remember from the 1960s to 1980s, there were hundreds trapped in contracts, unable to negotiate or leave. African players, smuggled and sold. African players were particularly vulnerable. European clubs sent scouts, often unregulated agents, to sign teenagers from West Africa. They promised contracts, visas, and professional careers. Many players arrived in Europe to find no club, no contract, and no way home. They were abandoned at airports, stranded in foreign cities. Some turned to illegal work, others were deported. Those who succeeded became success stories. The rest became ghosts. Do modern players earn too much? Or is it justice after decades of exploitation? The so-called golden age was soaked in blood. Stadiums were death traps. Safety standards didn't exist or weren't enforced. Fans were packed into crumbling terraces, behind iron fences with no escape routes. And when disasters struck, authorities blamed the victims. May 24th, 1964. Peru versus Argentina. Olympic qualifying match, National Stadium, Lima. With minutes remaining, Peru had a goal disallowed. The crowd erupted. Fans stormed the pitch. Police responded with tear gas and batons. Panic spread. 45,000 fans tried to escape through locked exits. They couldn't. The gates were chained shut, a measure meant to prevent pitch invasions. 328 people were crushed to death. Over 500 were injured. It remains the deadliest football disaster in history. Yet few remember it today. No inquiry placed blame. No reforms followed immediately. Peru buried its dead and moved on. Glasgow, Scotland, 1971, January 2nd, 1971. Rangers versus Celtic, Ibrox Stadium. In the final minutes, fans began leaving early. A late Rangers goal caused celebrations. Fans who had left tried to return. On Stairway 13, a metal barrier collapsed under the weight of surging bodies. 66 people fell. Most suffocated under the crush. 31 were under 20 years old. Scotland mourned. Rangers installed new barriers. But wooden terraces and standing sections remained standard across Britain for another 18 years. Until Hillsborough forced real change. Moscow, Soviet Union, 1982. October 20th, 1982. Spartak Moscow versus HFC Haarlem. UEFA Cup match, Luzhniki Stadium. Police locked the exit gates to control the crowd. When fans tried to leave before the end, they found the gates sealed. A stampede began on a narrow stairwell. 66 people died. The Soviet government covered it up. For 7 years, the official death toll was listed as a few. In 1989, after Glasnost, the truth emerged. No one was held accountable. Heysel, Belgium, 1985. May 29, 1985. Liverpool versus Juventus, European Cup final. Before kickoff, Liverpool hooligans charged at Juventus fans. The crowd panicked. A retaining wall, weakened by years of neglect, collapsed. 39 people died. 600 were injured. It was captured on live television. The world watched a stadium kill its own fans. English clubs were banned from European competition for 5 years. Liverpool for 6. The disaster forced UEFA and national federations to confront stadium safety in hooligan violence. Bradford City versus Lincoln City, Valley Parade Stadium. Just before halftime, a small fire started beneath the wooden main stand, likely from a discarded cigarette falling through gaps in the floorboards. Decades of accumulated rubbish beneath the stand ignited. Within 4 minutes, the entire stand was engulfed. 56 people died. 265 were injured. The stand was known to be a fire hazard. Safety reports had warned Bradford City for years. The club ignored them. Wood was cheaper than steel. These were not accidents. They were choices. Neglected infrastructure, ignored warnings, profit over people. Football leaders chose money over safety. Fans paid the price. Yet even in darkness, beauty endured. Pelé in 1970 symbolized joy reborn. After years of violence and cynicism, Brazil's third World Cup felt like redemption. Pelé's smile, genuine, wide, unguarded, reminded the world that football could still be innocent. His goal against Italy in the final, a header so perfectly placed it seemed drawn by an architect, wasn't just a goal. It was proof that artistry could survive in a corrupted world. Cruyff and total football. In 1974, Johan Cruyff and Ajax reinvented football. Total football wasn't just tactics, it was philosophy. Players weren't locked into positions. They moved as one organism, rotating, adapting, thinking. It was beautiful, and it was a protest. While dictatorships use football to control populations, Cruyff showed that the game could be about freedom, about creativity, about intelligence. The Netherlands didn't win the 1974 World Cup, but they won something bigger. They proved that football could still be an idea worth fighting for. Maradona in 1986. Diego Maradona's goal of the century came just 7 years after a dictatorship used Argentina's World Cup for propaganda. Maradona dribbled past 5 England players. Slalom turns, perfect balance, a finish so casual it seemed effortless. It was the most beautiful goal ever scored in a World Cup. And it mattered because it was untainted. No politics, no bribes, no tragedy, just a man and a ball and 60 yards of grass. For 10 seconds, football was what we pretended it always was, pure. Football stayed human. The golden age wasn't pure, but it wasn't entirely corrupt either. It reflected the world, its greed and its grace, its cruelty and its kindness. We remember the light because the light was real. Pelé's smile, Cruyff's turns, Maradona's run. They happened. They mattered. Nostalgia isn't wrong, but it must be complete. We can love the beauty of the past without erasing its shadows. We can honor the legends without ignoring the victims. We can remember joy without forgetting justice. Because football is, and always has been, both. The golden age was never pure. It was beautiful because it was flawed, a mirror of humanity. Next time, we pull the curtain on modern football's empire, billion-dollar clubs, oil money, and data-driven dynasties. Because the shadows never left, they just evolved. What do you think is worse for football, corruption or commercialization? Football isn't played with feet, it's won with minds. While others see passes, we see patterns. FTG Ontel, where data meets destiny. This isn't entertainment, it's education. By 2026, you won't just watch, you'll read the game. FTG Intel, think the game, win the game.